Hi guys, so it's me, Nicolette Mashile, and today I want to talk a little bit about why I left my corporate job to become a freelancer, right? So anyway, back in 2016, I sat at my desk and I typed out my resignation letter of a very lucrative and high earning position at an advertising agency, and there were two reasons as to why I did it, right? And I'll tell you what the two reasons were. The first reason was that I was working within the advertising space and I was the client services director of the company, which meant that I needed to manage my clients' expectations, and sometimes I had to manage clients' expectations even when my team was on the wrong, or sometimes the client was on the wrong. So you can imagine trying to be the person that is kind of navigating that situation, trying to keep peace, trying to tell client, no, we're on it, we're still going to do it. On the other side, you are screaming at your team members and saying, guys, where's this thing? Where's the 24-hour turnaround time? Because everything is urgent, right? In an advertising world, in the advertising space, because you're constantly chasing deadlines. You're constantly trying to keep your client happy because they are your business and they are your bread and butter, right? So I was kind of developing anxiety. There were mornings when I would wake up at like 3 a.m. in the morning, be sweating and really anxious and just not knowing whether or not I was, whether I'd done some tasks, whether I'd done some of the work the client is expecting. And Sundays were my worst days. I did not enjoy my weekends because I worked, like to the bone until like Friday night, and sometimes on Saturdays, because our agency was not just an advertising agency, we're actually a through the line agency, which meant that we did all other marketing aspects also. We did brand activations, we did events, we did all sorts of things, which meant that also on weekends you would be working or traveling, right? But at the same time, I was running my own company, so that also kind of if I may call it, kind of added on to the stress that I had. But one of the biggest and main reasons as to why I left my job was because of a little thing that I have coined, or I have termed, the economics of time. And basically, for me, what the economics of time was that when I looked at the amount of time that I was working at this specific company versus the salary that they were giving me, it still did not make sense, although I was one of the highest paid in the company. And when I say highest paid, I really mean highest paid. I was actually so well paid that I was probably earning a salary of probably an MD of a company, right? I was well above, way above a bar annually. So, I was earning really well. But again, as I said, when I looked at the hours and I looked at how much I was earning versus the hours that I was inputting in the company, it didn't make sense. Then I read a book. I actually didn't read a book. I watched a video by a professor. I can't remember his surname. I don't know if he's a professor, but he was doing a talk at the University of Pretoria. And he was talking about the fact that it's not about working hard, and it's not about, working as hard as you can. It's about how much time do you take to do certain things and use that time to then get certain value, right? And when I sat back and I was like, okay, so my contract says I need to be at the certain company from a certain time to a certain time, but I am now doing even more than that. I'm no longer being there from 9 to 5. I'm being there maybe from 7 in the morning till like 8 o'clock at night. So basically I was using more hours, more than what they've actually stipulated in the contract, and already the hours that were stipulated in the contract were more than what I should have been using to be able to generate that type of income, right? And also on the other side of the company, I was really not working the full 9 hours in the day, or even when I was there from like, let's say 7 to 7, I was not spending the whole 12 hours actually doing work, right? Because most of my work, as I said, I was a client services manager, a director, which meant that at some point I was coming up, because we didn't have a strategist, I was also doubling up as a strategist. I was doing strategy, or I was working on campaigns, or I was chasing my team members to give me work. So basically most of the time it was really exchanges of emails, or you're just sitting around waiting for somebody to send you work that they've already done so you could check it out before you actually communicate with client and send it off to client, right? So for me, I was also not maximizing the amount of time that I was spending there. So that didn't make sense for me. As I said, I was telling you guys that I was earning close to over a bar like not even close to, I was earning way more than over a bar, right? So if you do your math, you can kind of come back to that. I was earning close to over 100K every single month. And for me, what I've now found as a freelancer is that in as much as, yes, I am doing a little bit more work than I was doing when I was in a corporate company, my time is far more flexible right now. So I could make the same amount of money in either a week or in a day, depending on some of the jobs that I actually book, right? The difference is that obviously this is now not, there is no job security to it, but is there really job security if you look at this day and age where people are being retrenched day and night and are not being paid enough? It just, job security for me doesn't seem like it's worth it anymore, right? So anyway, yeah, so now what I'm doing is that I kind of find projects every single month, and I use those projects to kind of make up a salary for myself. So I will say, because I want to earn a certain amount of money, equivalent to what I used to earn at the corporate company, but using less hours, what I will then do is I will calculate how many jobs I actually need to take every single month for me to be able to make that money. And anything over and above that, if I do take a job, I will then use that money to save or to invest, or that will be like my bonus that I will then keep for the months where it's going to be quiet. Because that's the thing about being a freelancer, right? You got to think about the months where things are going to go very quiet. So what I do is, if for instance every single month I will take enough work so that I can make the salary that I used to make when I was working in corporate, and then anything over and above, so I'll take maybe 1 or 2 extra jobs over and above that amount of money, so that that becomes money that I then put away into a separate account for the months that are actually going to be quiet. There is obviously a downside to working as a freelancer, and one of them was the fact that when I had just left my job, I had actually just taken up a home loan, a bond, where I am paying a huge bond. So it meant that, and the bank does not care that you've now decided to leave your job, right? So it means that every single month I do panic a little every beginning of the month. Even when I do have jobs booked, I still panic because I'm just like, oh my goodness, will I have enough money to pay my bond? So that is also one of my biggest stresses right now. And also on the quiet months, that's when I double panic, because I'm just like, oh, will I really have enough money, right? So that's kind of the downside of also being a freelancer. The other part of also being a freelancer, the other downside, is that you actually have to formalize your business. And if you don't know or don't have the information as to how to formalize your business, it means that a lot of things you will not be able to be liable for. For instance, when I started in the beginning, I tried to go and recalculate my bond, and because I got my bond using a salary, when I had a salary, they couldn't recalculate it now because I had no trail that I was able to pay myself as a self-employed person. The other thing you need to think about is the fact that if you do book a job, let's say for instance you book a job and it's 100,000 rand, you don't actually get 100,000 rand, guys. It's so important that you put that at the back of your mind. Every single time you get paid, make sure that when the money clears in your account, you take 25% and you put it away for tax purposes, because you know that you are going to get charged tax, right? And sometimes you get tax charged depending on how you are doing it. You either get get charged tax as a freelancer or as a small business. So you need to also get your tax affairs in order. So yeah, man, that is what you need to be looking at. And I think one of the most important things that being a freelancer has really taught me is how to go out there and put myself first, and literally take the jobs that are going to give me what I want, but jobs that I really like and really enjoy. And to be quite honest, my time is very flexible. But let me squash any myth that people might tell you about running your own business, that your time is yours. No, that is a lie. Your time is not yours. You are actually essentially still employed. It's just that obviously you are not employed by more than one person. There is no guarantee, and you are not protected in actual fact by the Employment Equity Act. Is it called the Employment Act? The Employment Equity Act? Whatever it is called. So you because we live in South Africa and your clients are South African, when they wake up, you gotta wake up, because I mean, how terrible would it be if they send you an email and you don't respond immediately, right? Right.